There you have it. We've officially renamed the title to Is It Wrong to Gaslight Belle in a Dungeon? We've officially become the eraser trope right into gaslight the hell out of Belle until he accepts the current reality. We're doing that. Honestly, I enjoyed this episode a lot more than I did. For those that don't know, I was pretty negative about episode 5. I mean, I thought episode 4 was absolutely incredible. Episode 5, it felt like, oh no, we're doing the eraser trope. The idea of everybody forgetting, having this reset, and the main character is like, oh, everybody forgot me. But I think the direction it's taking it's pretty interesting. And I think that was really kind of saved the moment we had the whole thing with Aina, and she was recalling a lot of the memories, and then having Freya kind of stopping it down, but additionally using the information that she gets to rewrite things with Belle. That might turn into something good, and I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. But I will admit that everything around it is just like, okay, yeah, we're doing all this stuff. We got it. Let's move on. Let's do something with this whole story arc. Because yes, I was very negative with episode 5, and yes, people didn't like my opinion, which I'm perfectly fine with. I'm perfectly fine. I only have like a 7% dislike ratio on that video. There's still gonna be a 7% of people that just you're negative about a show that I like immediately dislike. It's fine though. Still, like a massive majority of people at least understood what I was talking about and why I have those fears. And again, my fears are around the idea that I've seen the eraser trope too many times in storytelling, especially like JRPGs, that I'm tired of it. But like I said then, I'm interested to see what the storyteller does with it, and they're doing some cool stuff so far, so we'll wait. We'll see how this goes. But no, still a decent episode. I did enjoy it. I think a lot of my interest really comes around, yes, Hestia and how she's dealing with the situation. Again, the idea that Aina was the first one to break the charm, which was really cool, because she's technically like one of the first characters that we meet in the series, because she was assigned to Belle, and she was guiding him. I really always liked Aina. I thought she was a fantastic character around the idea that she cared so much for Belle, and she was doing everything in her power to make sure that he was informed, and he was guided, and he was correcting him. Like, if you can't do that, don't go in that dungeon. Like, she literally, like, they even show it in this episode, she gets mad at Belle at some point. Like, you have to be careful. You can't just charge in there. I know you want to catch up with Aiz, but you have to chill out, boy. You're gonna get yourself killed. She was trying really hard to try to help him, and yes, at some point falling in love with him. But we haven't really seen much of her, like, in a long time. So it's really cool to have her come back to the forefront, have her kind of looking into this information, ends up finding information that apparently when they were trying to clean up after, she charmed him, they didn't see that information because apparently she did not log it. She didn't put it away. And so she forgot that it was there, and then she stumbles upon it, and then she gets all those memories coming back to her before she finally snaps out. I thought it was a really cool little segment. And again, how Freya used that information. She basically took a log of everything about Belle, and again, gaslight him into believing that it was always Freya there. She was always the one that was present. She knows everything about him, and just basically takes every moment that Hestia is a part of his life and fits herself into there. To get him to think that this reality is real, that I was always there. It was never Hestia. This Hestia girl is a figment of imagination, like they're kind of putting it. You've been cursed. It's a cool idea to kind of take this whole direction, and it does technically give it a really refreshing take, so that does have a lot of hope for me, despite my negativity coming into it. But no, the stuff around Hestia is interesting, because I'm kind of curious if she's planning to do anything anytime soon. She has run into Hermes, and she did recall that Hermes said, be careful when you do it, because I might become an enemy, which makes sense, because we've established in this episode that Freya will re-charm people, and that Freya can see things through their eyes. With the whole situation with Aina, at some point she starts to see this log, she's looking into it, she's obviously found something about Belle. And what happens? Somebody else in the guild immediately sees it, and that's like it's reporting to Freya. Like, this entire place is like under surveillance by Freya. So you would think that anybody that is charmed, if somebody confronts them and says, hey, you're charmed, you need to snap out of it, Freya will immediately know, and she'll come hunt them down and re-charm them. So that's the fear that we're actually establishing with this episode. And Confronting Aiz is the same case. Goes there and immediately says, stay away from Belle. And I like that because the reason behind why she wants him to stay away from Aiz is important. This is probably foreshadowing something. I think this is actually foreshadowing. It makes sense to me because she knows that Aiz is going to reject Belle, and that's going to destroy him. I know that he has always been inspired to keep pressing forward, and his strength comes through wanting to seek to be equal with Aiz. And if she rejects him, everybody else is going to be rejecting him. She fully well knows that everybody is going to be rejecting Belle. She's just seen everybody in her familia reject him. That hurt. But Aiz is different. I can't let her see him because she'll reject him and that will crush him. So she's trying to tell Aiz, please avoid him. Stay away from him. I can't have you reject my boy. Very interesting there. And again, I think that's kind of foreshadowing that I think Aiz confronting Belle is going to be very important. So I'm curious if that's going to be an eventuality that in the coming episodes, eventually he's going to find Aiz and she's not going to have a choice but to, accept his call out to her and she's going to reject him. And that's going to be I think that's going to be the final blow. Honestly, we're kind of building up this idea that they're crushing everything that he believes. And eventually I think Aiz is going to be that final nail in the coffin. I think that will be the point in which he gives up. And then everybody's going to have to come in and rescue him, which I think is cool because this can actually set up the idea that Belle himself doesn't rescue himself. This will be possibly a story arc where the savior is not Belle. Every arc is always waifu is presented, bad things are happening, Belle saves the day. Waifu is presented, bad things happen, Belle saves the day. I think this could be the one time where waifu is presented, Seer, bad things happen, gaslighting, and then the waifus save him, or waifus plus the husbando with wealth. Everybody comes in and saves Belle instead. It's a cool idea. I think this actually is opening up a lot of really interesting doors. Now, the other things that Freya has done this episode, obviously, besides going and stealing all the information and using that information against Belle, is that she did confront at some point Aranos, which I thought was interesting. Again, another character that pops up every now and then. Obviously, Aranos has not been affected by it, but she doesn't want him to be affected by it. That's the interesting thing. He's crucial for keeping this order within the city, so she doesn't want to affect him. But additionally, Aranos is basically accept the idea that I can't do anything because I can't work against her. If I do, like he even points out with Fels next to him, I can't do anything because even you will turn on me. It even shows the eyes. The eyes are actually charmed, so it's obviously indicating there that Fels is charmed as well. So interesting stuff there. Even though, yes, in the end, he does imply the idea that in the end, it's got to be Belle. I can't do anything, so Belle will do it. I'll just have Belle save the day. Which again, I think it'd be cool if it's not Belle for once. But no, everything around Aina was great, though. I thought that was a really cool little thing there to kind of give almost like a recap of their relationship. And I hope that doesn't turn into like every character has to do that. But it was really cool to kind of see all the emotion kind of flood back into her eventually until the point where she starts to break. And even when Freya shows up, she says that she's jealous. You were able to break the charm, which shows that you have a special bond to him. And I'm jealous of that. Like Freya, even for Aina, like even for the guild lady who barely ever's in the show, even that girl's got it better than Freya. Like even that girl has a better bond with Belle than even Freya herself. And so she's jealous of even her, which is kind of funny. But most of the stuff with Belle in the Familia was okay. It's just him basically training with them. They're like killing him over and over again because they're getting prepared for something. And I think that's really just them trying to get him stronger because they're going to want him to get more involved. They're trying to break him at the same time in there. I think a lot of it is just to keep him busy. I think they're purposely doing this training with him, which is probably to show how hard her Familia actually trains. That they basically have everybody do an all-out fight to the death. Like literally to death. Like they're killing each other and having her come over there and revive them to the death. They're fighting to the death every single day in order to be extremely strong because they're very, very strong. It makes sense. This shows why they're strong. But I think there is also an element of them probably trying to keep him busy, keep his mind off of everything else through like the pain that he's going to be in with that training. But yes, additionally, getting into the idea that he is cursed, that all of these memories is just a curse of memories. They're not real, that you've always been here. And again, Freya playing into that with the log from Aina, replacing all of his memories with that, which is cool. I think the scene with Belle and Freya was interesting. The first scene was obviously the whole using the potion in order to fake that she is doing the update. Oh yeah, she has to pour this over it. It's something that she got from the 18th floor, pours it over him, is able to produce that same effect, even though he's not of their familia, which is a way of sort of breaking him once again. I have to keep breaking him. I'll keep comforting him, break him again, comfort him again until he eventually accepts it. And yes, there's the opposite side of that. If she doesn't do a proper job of comforting after that, he can eventually break to the point where he has no emotions. Because that was sort of a fear that I had with her way of doing these things. She could eventually break him so much that he won't get back up from it. He will be a shell of what he once was. If she fell in love with Belle, it's falling in love with who he became with Hestia Familia. So my question there really is, the directions they can go here is gaslighting him until he eventually accepts it, and then everybody else saves him, and he's going to attack them thinking that that's a falsity, Or they can possibly take it in the direction that she keeps breaking him too much where he becomes something else. He's not what she fell in love with. Because again, she's erasing the personality that he was with being with all these individuals. Can he be the same person with Freya being in the place of Hestia and this new familia with the Freya familia being in place of Lily, Welf, Haruhime, everybody else? Will he still be the same person? That's the question mark. That's another direction they can take it, which might actually be pretty interesting. But we'll have to wait and see. The direction it's currently doing is, yes, essentially replacing who he is. That whole scene at the later part of it is literally her going, tell me your stories. Tell me everything that you've experienced in this curse. You were always with me, but now you're cursed, and I'm trying to be compassionate. She even says it. I'm trying to be compassionate unlike other people. Everybody else is saying, no, you've always been here. You're crazy. Or, who are you? I'm the only one that's going, let me accept what you're dealing with. Tell me about it. Let me replace myself in here with it, with this information. But at the same time, I'm being compassionate of it. I'm not rejecting this reality that you're experiencing. It's actually a very interesting route to take it. But yeah, pretty much wrapping it up with her asking to change her robes and then him running out and her saying, nobody has ever ran out of my bedchambers at night. Not even the gods have rejected me. And yet somehow Belle still does. Because Belle is a protagonist of a harem show. Of course he can overcome it. Girl hasn't watched much harem anime. She doesn't know how strong the protagonist is. The other character is the ultimate at being able to reject hot chicks. But now I have to admit that she was looking very sear right there. And it's really just her kind of bundling up her hair. But I'm like, dang, your girl is... That sear, that look of sear was kind of coming out there. I think it was a lot to do with her getting kind of a little bit cute. But it was interesting. But no, I still have this theory that I think that somebody within Freya Familia might be the ones that sort of breaks Belle out of the situation. And my ongoing theory was really around Hidden. Because I felt like Hidden might be a character that will see that Freya is going down a bad path and will do this in order to save Freya. Not necessarily that they care about Belle. But I think like this episode started to kind of push me towards the direction of the healer. I don't know. I had a feeling with the healer herself, there might be a thing there. Plus, additionally, how the other guy didn't really like the idea of Belle being there. He might be against it as well, just because jealousy. It could be a culmination of everything, like having everybody kind of turn in their own ways, either because of jealousy or because they're trying to help Belle out. They want to save Freya, such and such. That'd be kind of a curious route as well. But no, I almost forgot. Horn. Horn's still alive. They didn't kill Horn. I had a speculation that Seer might end up being Horn. The idea of like, yes, Seer is Freya, but like replacing the fact that Seer is now gone with the idea that Horn permanently becomes Seer. Like after this arc ends, the conclusion is that Seer stays around by Horn being her. But yeah, it looks like they didn't kill Horn. She's still alive. She's just pretty much on a short leash. Like Freya's keeping her around. It's like, you're going to repay me by just full on dedication. Also, she says specifically that per our agreement, you will stay away from Belle. Now that makes sense. Horn tried to kill Belle and Freya really likes Belle. Doesn't want Horn killing Belle. But additionally, that probably the idea that she doesn't want her around him because she knows that Horn can take her parents or Seers or somebody else and affect Belle in some way. Stay out. You've already proven that you can't keep in line. Stay out of this. But it still goes to my question mark of why is this agreement still in place? I still don't understand what that agreement was. Now, again, it could be that whole point where Horn took the appearance of Seer to ask Freya to take a date on with Belle, that was just sort of a showmanship, and that Horn never dated Belle. It was always Freya. They kind of made that clear. But what would be the agreement? The agreement could just be something else, that I agreed to let you live after you try to kill Belle, but the agreement is that you can't see Belle ever again. You have to stay away from him. I'm going to forgive you, but you have to stay away from Belle. That might be that agreement. She might not be talking about the date thing. I don't know. That's the only way that I can kind of explain it in my mind. Anyhow, I think that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, hopefully a better like to dislike ratio this time around. I wasn't too negative, was I? Anyhow, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit that like button because I'm sure that the haters are going to be hitting that dislike button still. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care.